Good morning, everyone. All right, so I apologize for jumping on late. Girl is tired today, but I've been doing a lot of energy work, so that's good. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. This is probably going to be a shorter message, but we'll see what comes through in the spirit. So this Oracle Talks is for the Equinox energies, the spring equinox. Today is like literally the last day, and then the shift technically happens tomorrow. Good morning to everyone coming in. Please like the video. If you're new, welcome. Welcome to the channel. My name is Jynnette. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And then for those of you who are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I apologize for being late. But yeah, so today is the last day that is the part of the 6-month process that we have been kind of percolating in since the autumn equinox, right? Which was in September of last year. So we are literally at the precipice of a cycle of completion in our yearly cycle, okay? And this is something that we go through every year, so there's consistency in that. But of course, there are some aspects that are going to be more unique and up-leveling, so to speak, depending on the kind of work that you've been doing for your own healing, your own ascension process, your own work as a light worker, etc., etc. So my intention as I shuffle these cards and start to get the energies out is to give as many messages to the different types of folks that may be watching or come across this video later on. So I'm going to go from the most mundane, mundane meaning like practical human concerns, based off of what comes through in the cards, then to personal healing, individual healing, then to personal ascension work, and then also pull or also see if I can glean messages for light workers. Okay, so yeah, that's the intention. But again, this is for the message of the for the equinox for this week, this portal, because I mean, it's more than just a day, but I think today, tomorrow, which is the exact turning of the seasons, and the day after, those 3 days is going to be a really special and potent corridor. All right, so good morning again for those of you coming in. For those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. Please subscribe. For those of you returning, welcome back. Also, please go ahead and hit the like button. And just take a few deep breaths to settle in. And I'm using the Hermetic Tarot again, just like last week, just because. All right, so I hope everyone is doing well. Good morning. I don't know that I'll stay on for a full hour today. It might just be 45 minutes. So if there is something specific that you want, like a specific question that you want answered, please go ahead and type that now. And so instead of waiting until the end, because I do actually have to run. So, okay. So from the practical, mundane aspect of things, In the recent past is the Three of Swords. So this is heartbreak energy. I mean, flat out. So if you recently ended a relationship or had some kind of separation, and yeah, I'm actually going to say just keeping it in romantic context, because I don't think friends are out here like losing friends for the most part, although that may be happening, right? But some hard separation. Now, this could also have to do with work, if you recently lost a job, but I'm getting relationship with that, so to each his own. So that's done, right? And what is available for you, for those of you who have experienced that relatively recently, and this would have specifically been basically within these first 3 months of the year, right? So to be able to shift to a place where you feel more grounded and more stable and balanced, Four of Pentacles, and that's what Spirit is saying, like, you need to shift into that now. Like, it's enough. There's been enough of this grieving process, whether that's been emotional grieving or mental grieving. Okay. And now it's time to shift into being stable and grounded and getting your affairs in order. All aspects of the physical life handled and in order. Okay. That's what Spirit is asking you to do, for those of you dealing with this aspect. So the way to help with that, or the action to take in that journey of creating more stability for yourself, is the Eight of Swords. Now, if you've been watching the past few weeks, you know that the Eight of Swords, the Nine of Swords, and the Ten of Swords has been coming up a lot, like a lot. And in this context, for this interpretation that I'm giving right now, this is dealing with the long-standing belief systems that you have about yourself as it relates to what you can build and what you can have for the future. Ten of Pentacles. And it's your job this week, specifically with this corridor, to work in conjunction, in tandem with the universe, to break free of this, to identify it specifically, whatever this thought form or pattern or belief system is, or habit, and specifically work on healing from that this week, so that you can come to a place of stability and grow and take action in the direction of your dreams and your desires. Because you know exactly what this is. And the universe will help you on this healing journey. It's going to help you through healing the emotional heart. And now recently you may have been going a little too, well, things may have been moving really fast in a positive direction, but it's exacerbated needing to look at this, because this card, the Eight of Wands, is a card of opportunity and rapid change, but it's still rapid change for the positive, for the benefit. But if this is still there in the subconscious, then you won't fully be able to maximize on this and live heart-centered. Not emotion-centered, heart-centered. Heart-centered is the voice of the soul. Okay? So whoever, for those of you who this message is speaking to regarding a past relationship that has ended, you've been battling depression for a while, like a minute, possibly the past 4 years. And you may have had moments when you've come out of it and had happiness and then dipped back down, like all that back and forth. And part of that, yes, is grieving. But for where you are now, this is a thought thing. It's a belief system thing. It's not an emotional thing. So I heard the question, which is part of, I think, the 4 questions posited by Byron Katie. But the question that specifically of the 4 that she has is it true? So whatever thoughts or thoughts that you're having, beliefs that you're having, or words that you're speaking that are what I would call old cycle, using your mental mastery to essentially call yourself out and be like, okay, is this true? Honestly, is this true? And you have the mastery of mind already. The Hermit card is here. But you just want to watch out with this because this can exacerbate the depression energy by keeping you closed off. Now, if you need, of course, of this week to handle and address whatever this stuff is, you may need that quiet time to do that deconstruction process without distraction. But the time of the Hermit energy, which actually, honestly, is the Equinox energy, it's that portal between Virgo and Libra, and Hermit being the Virgo card, that aspect of the cycle is ended. It's not that it can't be used, but it's not the dominant energy now moving forward, because we're literally today at the interface or the boundary between Pisces and Aries. So this is the rebirth or the immersion out of the yin phase and going into the yang phase of our yearly soul expression and experience. Okay, so you can lean on this if you want still for the week, but I have a feeling hermiting is not going to be where it's going to be moving forward. Now, you're already sitting in this energy, so I want to tell you, so for, again, those of you who's resonating with this message about pushing through the heartbreak of a recent dissolving of a relationship, as well as long-term emotional depression, you're already showing up as a 7 of Wands, so you've already passed through the gate. You already have actually reached the goal. You already have come to a place of mastery. You already have victory. Okay, so you're not having to fight anymore. You're just having to have courage. Because what's facing you is this Queen of Cups card. So this could be someone who you're dealing with that has water energy in rising sun or moon, or who just correlates to that energy of a water zodiac sign. So this is intuitive, caring, feminine, deeply connected to source. To me, the water energy is actually the physical manifestation of what source is, the quantum field. This person is available, and I find this interesting actually because, again, where the spirit is protecting you and providing support is this, in this deck, the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups actually is the king in this deck. So it's helping you be this person. And again, you might be somebody that has a water sign that's in a rising sun or moon placement. Also could be a situation where sun or moon are in a water house, which would be 4th, 8th, and 12th. But if the universe is helping you do this, that's good, because it means that you can show up for this person who, and of course the gender doesn't matter. So take it as it resonates. But ultimately, again, to circle back, what Spirit is saying, okay, so the message that just came through is that the new heart energy is fine. It's safe. So that's not something you have to question. Although, if there are questions about that, or again, stuff from the past that need to be dealt with, whatever the stuff is, you just have to work on that this week. But you do need to come to a place of greater stability. Health and wellness, finances, general relationships with people, family and friends, and just being stable. Okay? Because you have the emotional maturity, center energy, 8 of Cups, and right under that, I love it, Ace of Swords. You're already clear. From the higher aspect, you're already clear. But whatever the stuff is that you are battling in the mind, in the belief systems, what have you, this is your job this week, is to focus on this. And whatever thoughts, belief systems are not in alignment with this 10 of Pentacles, basically being having everything that you want, it has to go. Okay? All right, so welcome to those of you who are new coming in. Please go ahead and like the video. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. So that was the quote unquote mundane or the practical interpretation. So now I'm going to see if there's anything around just in general healing, because that seemed to be kind of a healing message, but let's see. Okay, so there is something coming through about just general personal healing work. So, for the past few months, the focus may very much have been on working through the mind and kind of getting a grapple on the mind and trying to figure out like what's happening, what's going on, where you want to move forward, etc. Okay, but very mentally heavy energy. And now it's time to get back to putting in that schedule of, routines of self-care. So eating well, exercising, managing your day-to-day schedule, like all those kinds of practical things are available for you to do now. Okay, or at least that's what Spirit is wanting you to focus on, because there's been enough of working in this energy. And there's just a long-term battle with just overall lethargy. It's easy to get apathetic or feel tired. But recently, that has been shifting and your energy is coming back. So now is the time to focus on creating these new systems that will help you be your best self. Now, the way specifically to work with that, of course, is that 8 of Swords energy. So again, your mind may still be the greatest battlefield. Circling a lot about what to do in terms of creating that new structure and cycle. I actually don't think this energy is going to last much longer, though. I feel like by the end of the month, this kind of circling energy will be done. So just stick with it. Take things one thing at a time. But I actually get the sense that once Mars moves into Gemini, which I believe is like right at the end of the month or right at the beginning of April, this kind of energy will be done. my hair is like, I need to get like new bangs cut because these are like so long now. All right. There also needs to be a little bit more strategy for all aspects of life. Because again, you have a lot more knowledge here. So whatever routines that you're putting in place, again, needs to be in alignment with your long-term visions and goals. And if you do it, you will see benefit by summer, which is only 3 months away from this point. So get on it. I mean, obviously this week, get on it. And if you use the energy to help you with that, it'll be much easier to make use of the momentum. Because I think now you're actually at a place where you want to do it, whereas before you might have been battling yourself. Or at least the universe is showing you that the desire is there now. So let this Eight of Swords actually be a card of mastery, not be something that you have to battle. Because I think this is a situation where it's just going to depend. This may be, the Eight of Swords may be a situation where you're having to figure out what the schedule actually looks like and kind of fit in sussing that out. Or this could still be belief systems that you're coming up against about what you think you can do or can't do as it relates to your healing. Okay, so that's that message. Moving on. So this is going to be for the ascension process. Those of you doing work specifically for part of your ascension work, so raising of consciousness. So whether that is focusing on balancing the divine masculine, divine feminine energies within yourself, balancing those polarities, or the positive energy, the negative energy, however you want to look at it, doing or focusing on work of opening the high heart and all of that that's entailed, maybe the focus of merging with the higher self, doing other work with past life or starseed things. I mean, it can run the gamut. So whatever it is that you are working on as it relates to your ascension work as a divine human. So this is bigger than the personal healing, right? A lot of times can run concurrent with it, but let's see. Tune into that energy. And again, for those of you who are coming in, this will be a shorter oracle talk. So if you do have any questions, please type them now. I already saw that one came up, and I'll get to those like when I'm done. But I won't be able to like hang too much. So get those in now so I can just go through them quickly. Okay, so for those of you who are specifically doing work on the ascension path, and in all honesty, you may be experiencing everything that I'm talking about right now. So you've already, or you have been, at the very least for these last 6 months, working on integrating new consciousness, new template structures, kind of bringing those online, whether consciously or unconsciously. But it's been a lot of work in the spirit, a lot of work with consciousness. And you may have had, more specific or deepening connection, communion with 2 or 3 specific divine beings or loved ones in the spirit, what have you. But again, spirit focus for the last 6 months. It's so funny. Every time I'm on here, like as I'm channeling messages, they're having to clear things out. Because the girl is not sick. This is whatever is there for you guys. So there's stuff here on this ascension work. So keep doing that, whatever it is you're needing to do. But so that's what we've been doing for those of you focusing on that. And then what Spirit is wanting us to pay attention to now for this upcoming 6 months with the spring equinox is the 4 of Pentacles energy, which is having mastery over the material world. So essentially taking the spiritual principles, technologies, insight, community that you may have been building in the spirit and actively using that to mold and shape the material world. That's what you're being asked to do now. So no more headspace. Now it's like practical action. And the way to help with that is the 8 of Swords, or what actually has to be done in order to create mastery is the 8 of Swords. So let me see. Let me check in with that. Okay, so part of what I'm getting, and I just noticed that there's 3 8s already out. 8 of Cups, 8 of Wands, 8 of Swords. So I mean, literally, we are in the middle of a portal. But the thing is, this can be a card of being mentally overwhelmed with what you think you have to do. So it's good to look at this because this energy is not necessarily true. You actually don't necessarily have to do a lot in order to create or take part in the physical manifestation of the power that's been gained and learned and accessed in the spirit over the last 6 months. And so if you have that idea, it's not true. Basically, it's this card here is a card about handling what's yours to do. This isn't a card about ruling the world or having the answer for everything. This is about managing you and yours, your life, your specific path. That's it. That's all that is being asked of you right now, but also with this spring equinox corridor for the next 6 months. So wherever, the thoughts come up about all the stuff you have to do, because this is 8 pentacles, right? Or 8 swords, but they're only, Spirit is only wanting you to focus on 4 pentacles. So why do you have 8 swords? You only need a sword per pentacle. Right? So this is telling me that y'all are doing too much or thinking you're at that place where you think that you're having to do a lot and you don't. just because you have had a lot of experience and have a lot of knowledge and know-how, all of that is not necessary for creating this. So you can actually go more flow. And that is ultimately the lesson of the North Node through Cancer. But you can have a toolbox with a smorgasbord of tools and strategies available to you, but they literally all don't have to be used. Like, this is literally a card about overkill. You don't have to use every law of the universe and every principle and like every divine being just to create something. Like, it's really not that serious. And that's part of why, and what you probably had to realize, what you've been battling with, why so much of your energy gets expended is because you're wasting energy in order to manifest. Because you're like throwing everything at something that doesn't require all of that. It needs like maybe half, maybe. So that's the task this week for those of you on your ascension path, whatever it is that whatever that is looking like for you, is where is the overkill? Where are you doing too much? Where are you trying to fix and address everything that's not yours? It's not your business, to be honest. And where do you need to be managing and focusing on your own life? Because this is the only thing that actually matters. And the reason I say this is because if you don't have this, then you can't be an agent of change for your community or for the world. Like, you just can't. You don't have a foundation. This is your foundation. This has to be mastered first. Get control of your body. Get control of your love of self. Get control of your relationships. Get control of how you handle money. Get control of how you navigate this physical reality. Because otherwise you're just going to stay stuck in the same cycle. And you don't need to. And you should be at a place right now where you have enough emotional maturity to see that and to be able to receive that message that came through. And remember, right under the Eight of Cups is the Ace of Swords. So you've already, or should have already been doing this work, right? Connecting to divine mind. And just moving on, inspired thought. There's your Four Swords, which will help you effectively manage the Four Pentacles. And the Four Swords is a card of strategy. It is not this. This is too much. Stop doing that. A quick way to see if you're doing too much in your thoughts. This strategy here, the Ten of Pentacles, is to ask yourself, okay, first, how am I feeling? Am I holding my breath with this thought or this thing I think I have to do? Is this actually directly shifting how I show up in my own life and putting me into alignment of a greater path? Or is this stepping outside and thinking of the entire world? Like, what's the scale? Okay, and if the scale is too big, it's a waste of your energy, which means it's a waste of your spiritual power. And what you've been doing the past 6 months has literally been cultivating a larger vessel for spiritual power. But even though you have a larger vessel for spiritual power, you're still only using a portion of it for this. And that may be a struggle. You know, because when you feel and have access to so much, you want to use all of it. But the thing is that puts you in in a martyr construct because as a creator incarnate, and I use that in quotes because we're not actually creating the world, we're crafting the world. But because it's a terminology that people are familiar with, as a creator incarnate, you should be bigger than your creation so that you can continually pour energy into it. So yeah, you should be sitting in a lot of spiritual power or have a lot of energy. But it's so that you can be a true parent for your creation. Like, does it make sense to have a kid and be a kid yourself? Like, you have a 5-year-old and you've expended so much in creating the 5-year-old that you are now also a 5-year-old. Like, who is navigating the way forward? So I hope that makes sense. I know it does. I know it does. This is actually a message that's coming up a lot. Okay, so that's the ascension stuff. All right, so again, welcome for those folks coming in. Please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. I'm now going to go through the last interpretation for light workers, and then I'll go through questions. So if you have a question for me, go ahead and type it now because I'm not going to stay on, well, depending on how long it takes me to answer the questions, but I do need to run, so. Okay, so this is actually going to be a collective message for the light workers, not individual groupings like I tend to create. The individual groupings that I tend to create are the way showers, the healers, and the transformers, or the black workers. But whatever, the threefold nature. The three primary groups you all have been going through, or we all, because I'm in it, right? We all have been going through our process of transformation with the new consciousness templates that have been deposited with the Cosmic Mother Star Dragon from last year. Oh, I wasn't on YouTube at that point talking about that. I think that was just on the IG Live. So I was gonna say go back and listen to that, but I don't think I have any around that time. Anyway, if you're a light worker and you've been following me for a while, you know. Okay, so the last one's been about that rewriting and the new templates, or having access to what's available, I guess. And now it's I'm hearing developing a relationship with the lords of karma, meaning those aspects that rule the physical realm, that which actually like holds the sustaining principle of the manifest world, universe, however you want to think about it. Four directions, four elements, whatever it is, okay? But those things that anchor and create the existence of physical reality. Because the 1, the 2, and the 3 archetypes are non-physical. As soon as we get to the 4, that's physicality. Or the manifestation of consciousness. But for light workers, this is, like I said, I heard the phrase working with the lords of karma, and what those corners look like, okay? Now, this can talk about the wheel of time and cycles, So you may find that you are drawn more to astrology and learning more about the constructs of planetary cycles, sounds, tones, lights, all those things which give, which are constructs which give texture to the physical world. There's a lot that's there, and I'm not going to go on a tangent. There's just a lot that's there. But the other thing too with the four is that could relate to the four seed archetypes for the human consciousness template. Okay, because the multiplication of the three, so general God consciousness with the four, physical reality creates the 12, and that 12 matrix is connected to the sun specifically. Okay, so all divine human beings at the core expressional level is a template from the sun. Now, as it relates to the four seed races, of course, we have the humanoid, which would be probably closer to the Arcturian, maybe. Lyran, which is a lion. Bird, which you could think of as avian, but I lean more towards dragon, personally. Well, they told me avian, so dragon is actually the 3. And then the bull energy, which is the earth consciousness energy. I haven't there's something in there about the mother principle, the birther. Okay, moving on. So whatever aspect of that resonated for you as a light worker, the action to take in relation to that, what the universe is calling us to, is, again, the 8 of Swords. So we'll actually have time for this next, essentially upcoming, 6 months, while Jupiter is going retrograde. I think the retrograde motion happens on April 10th. But, obviously, since this message is coming through now, you can look back September, October of last year of some themes that were coming up for you, experiences that you were having, what may have been opened up for you in terms of your individual path. And then also from now up to the 10th when the retrograde happens, as kind of anchors or guideposts for where to go. But Jupiter right now being in Sagittarius, I mean, for me, essentially, the whole Sagittarian energy is, well, not for me. The later degrees of Sagittarius line up with the galactic center. So I would just say broadly, like the whole second half of Sagittarius and the first part of Capricorn. Is really potent because we're having access to literally the Lords of Karma for this galaxy. So I think part of this might be, and for those of you who do consider yourself to be light workers and are resonating even remotely with what's going on, you should already have teams in place and have, like you should already be solid. But this may be an opportunity for helping to support the dissolving of some of the old constructs of the last cycle. Because we don't have that much longer before we do shift that Saturnian and the Plutonian energy into Aquarius. Like, we have a few more years, but there's definitely a shift, an important shift that we're at right now, because Saturn is also about to go retrograde. But at this point, we are, once we finish that retrograde period in the fall and moving forward, we will have passed the middle third of the transit, and then we'll be shifting out and then into Saturn going into Aquarius, and then later on, of course, Pluto will. So this is an important shift. And of course, Saturn rules the structures here of karma for our solar system. But you may start getting keys to unlock the old, because this is definitely a process of still being in a place of surrender to divine grace. Regardless, everyone has to warrior up moving forward, because we're now in the divine masculine principle or aspect of our nature, of our role, while still communing with the divine, with the mother God principle. And I'm speaking more cosmic mother, not earth mother. So there, in all honesty, shouldn't be a name associated, because it's not of our world. Yeah. So no one can lay claim to it, because it can't actually be named. And if needed, you can also look specifically November of last year. That, of course, was when Jupiter went into Sagittarius, but that was also when the nodes shifted. Oh, that's part of it as well, too. Oh, that's why. Okay, sorry. Revelations on revelations. So North Node being in Cancer, Cancer is the divine, or the mother God principle. And I think that's where the B clusters are, but it's just like, the Cancer constellation it's its own little void over there. But the South Node is in Capricorn, and it's making its way. Capricorn, of course, being ruled by Saturn, construct of the material world, but it's making its way also closer to the galactic center. So there may be a lot more spiritual warfare, guys. Again, this is just for those who are specifically working as light workers, okay? If you're not actually doing this, this is not relevant to you. So please don't make it your message. Yeah, there is a lot that is being dissolved. I don't think we quite understand the scale of it, because it is difficult to feel. I can feel it, but it's difficult to put into words. And that might also be part of why in the very previous message for those working on their specific individual ascension path, why there's that overwhelm of like so much that has to be done. But, you know, for your individual work, focusing on self and your specific thing to do is actually what helps to create new anchor points moving forward. Remember that you are part of a collective. You are a collective. So whatever work you are doing, there are going to be other souls who sit in the same frequency and resonance who are doing the same work. Remember, there are 12 core I guess kind of emanations of the divine human template from the sun of the consciousness. And everybody is a part of at least one, although obviously there would be overlap. So each of those 12 to me are oversouls. So everyone who sits as a part of your primary oversoul group is doing the same work. So it's not, again, for you to have the answer. Just do your work. And as everyone in that oversoul group does their work, it's good. And maybe that's part of what this is just recognizing where you actually have dominion and where you don't. You don't have to make sure the universe is going to keep moving and operating. Like, that's being taken care of. It's not for you. All right. I feel like there's just like so much it just came down. So I'm going to go back through and check these comments for questions and answer those real quick, and then I'm going to bounce. Beth says, I feel like all my old self-doubt and lack of confidence are coming to the surface. How do you make the most of the first day of spring and be willing to take a risk from a place of old stuckness? The easiest way is to do, you know, this work, which is being specific about where the stuckness is, because what I'm picking up is like, this is all like a mind thing. It's like, oh, I know I do this or whatever, but like literally actually physically write that stuff down as much as you can think of. And then ask what is the next appropriate step to move that energy forward. Like, it really can just be that simple. And probably the thing is, because it's so simple, there's a denial of its importance because it's not big enough, right? There's not enough conflict created with it because we're so addicted to pain. But that's going to be the simplest fix. Like, do that for the first day of spring. And maybe actually start today. Like, just actually write down all the places of old stuckness, confidence, like everything. Just get it all out on a piece of paper today. Like, fold the paper a long way in half. All the old energy, all the thoughts, behaviors, everything just on the left-hand side. And then tomorrow evening, or maybe even possibly on Thursday, you might actually want to give a few days, maybe even wait till Friday, so that, you know, Friday is like a great day for connecting with ancestors most powerfully. Work with them through each thing one by one to see whatever the direct next step is, not the big vision, but just a direct next step. That way you have a plan of action, and let the days between today and Friday allow spirit and your soul to work on your behalf to give you that clarity. All right, I'm about to move, and I'm wondering if this is the right time to do so. In general, I I mean, if you're about to move, it's already been done. So I don't know why you're asking if it's now the best time to do it. You already made your decision. So don't go back on it. Because most likely you already have signed a contract and all those kinds of things. So if you haven't signed a contract and you're just considering moving, then, you know, wait until next month, possibly. It honestly, for me, depends on your natal chart, where Mercury is retrograde, where Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto are going to be retrograding in terms of timing. Because if it's in anything that's related to contracts, in a house related to contracts or things like that, then you'd want to wait. However, based off of what you said, that you're about to move, it's already in motion. So it's right because it's already in motion. You're already doing it. So much family stuff that I felt I needed to help out with, and their choices have all culminated in one big mess. Let people do their stuff. It is not for you to fix. It is not for you to fix. And that's hard. It's hard for me because I see and feel people's pain. But the way to help is to shine the light so that they know where they're going, not to be down there with them in the dark. And if you don't hold your part in this grand play, then everything actually falls apart. Everything is one big relationship. But the thing about relationship is it can only exist if we are ourselves. Relationship dissolves when we try to become the other, whether consciously or unconsciously. Now, while that can create amazing moments of ecstasy, right? When we talk about love and sex and all that kind of stuff, eventually there does have to be a pulling away. So it's this dance between Pisces, which is the dissolving into the other, and Aries, which is the reemergence of self. And we have a really hard time with that, which I think is part of one of the reasons why this Pisces Aries interface for spring equinox, or just Pisces season in general, has just been so hard. All right. So that is it, guys. I need to run. But face your devil. And your devil is internal. At this point in the game, not that there's not always going to be something external to bump up against, right? But this is you in and of yourself. This is your work. This is personal. I mean, we're going into Aries energy. It's you. It's no more about the big stuff out there. These next 6 months are you. Hence the message with the 4 of Pentacles. Handle your life. Handle your domain. Come back down to earth and manage your shit. And allow people the space to manage their own. Pisces is over. The martyr is over. The sacrifice is done. Let it go and keep it moving. All right, so you can do it. You have the power. All right, guys, love you much. And I will see you next week. And also tomorrow at 10 a.m., so Wednesday the 20th, I'm actually going to have the second part of the interview with Damon Holcomb as part of my Divine Masculine Rising series on Instagram, IG Live. So if you want to listen in, it's 10 a.m. Pacific time. Listen in there, and it will be up for 24 hours. The next guy that I'll be interviewing, his name is Jay Christopher. I'll be interviewing him the last 2 Fridays in April. But of course, go to my website and stay connected on Instagram and on my newsletter so you can get that info and stay up to speed. All right, deuces. Bye.